Welcome to the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering podcast. This is our second in the series, and we hope you enjoy them and subscribe to receive them when produced. We hope to do this for you about one a month. I am Jim Buchanan. I'm the Gathering Committee Chairman and your host. And I've been part of the gathering for a long time, 35 of our 37 years, so I've been around a long time. And I've got some special guests with us today, the Rusty Pistols Reloaded Cowboy Band. And they are Duane Steinbrink, who does lead guitar and vocals, Bob Wood, guitar, harmonica, and vocals, and Suzi Killman, guitar and lead vocals, and Donn Pease, bass and vocals. Welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
I want to kick this off and visit some, but let's kick it off with one of your favorite songs, Amazing Grace. Duane, tell us about Reloaded.
Well,
I know you were the Rusty Pistols Cowboy Band.
we were. And the guy that put us together, Mr. Jim Dunham, he put us together in 2010. And we were at that time known as the Rusty Pistols Cowboy Band. Well, Jim passed away in September 2017. And we weren't sure what we were going to do. Bob and myself and Don, we were kind of lost and not sure where to go. And Suzi, Jim Dunham's sister, said, well, I could sing with you guys. And so we thought, well, we couldn't keep the name Rusty Pistols Cowboy Band.
And Suzi, you weren't new to cowboy music at that time.
No, I've been playing cowboy music solo most of the time.
Anyway, Donn Pease came up with the name, how about Reloaded? So Suzi is our Reloaded piece of the cowboy band, and we are very fortunate to have her, but we miss Jim Dunham dearly, and we've done a few songs with Jim in it, and we are pretty blessed to be together, and Jim put us here.
Super,
Yep.
Super, nice. Bob, what do you love about cowboy music?
Well, cowboy music is, to me, wants to reach down inside your soul. Most everything that cowboy music, to me, is about is your home, your wife, your ranch, your life, your kids. And I know my grandfather had a cattle ranch, and it was his life. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I enjoy cowboy music, because it's been written about a lot of people's lives. And to me, it's very special.
Yeah, yep, it is special. Connects you to the land and to animals and livestock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Suzi, you were raised on a ranch and still live on a ranch.
Yeah, pretty much. We bought a ranch. My folks bought a ranch near Wickenburg. That was my dad's dream all his life. He wanted his own ranch. And we'd only lived there like 6 or 8 years when he passed away. So when we moved off that ranch, we not only lost Daddy, but we lost a way of life that we loved and enjoyed. And praise God, I got to go back 50 years later. Now we're caretakers on that same ranch.
Nice.
God is good.
Nice.
Ossiumpa River Ranch.
The Ossiumpa River Ranch.
And one of the things you guys do very generously, may I use that word,
Mm-hmm.
is you go out to our schools, and Don is the head of this. He and his wife, Kyra, head up our student poetry committee.
Right.
And Don, how many schools do you visit each year?
Well, it varies from year to year. This year we visited 6 schools. Each school has varying number of classes. There are 16 total classes within those 6 schools. And what we do is we go there in April and we teach them about Arizona history. And a big part of that is ranching and cowboys. And as part of the Arizona Cowboy Gathering, we also teach them about poetry. And we sing songs. Bob and Duane go with me to the schools. It's kind of far to bring Suzi up all the way from Wickenburg, so we don't ask her to do that. But so the 3 of us visit the schools, give them a program, some songs. And of course, songs are nothing but poems set to music, of course. Mm-hmm. So it keeps the kids' attention. And we have a little contest. They write poems. End of the May, we gather up the poems. This year, we collected 233 poems from the various 16 classes. We have a judging committee of 5 people. We judge each class separately, first, second, and third. And then we go back to the schools to each class and award certificates for first, second, and third. And everybody who wrote a poem, whether they won or not, we consider winners because that's our primary objective, to have them write a poem.
Yep.
And we specify that it must be cowboy. And some of the poems, ones that we use for an example, it's kind of ridiculous, but there's a cowboy in it. So anything with a cowboy in it will work.
It's subject to a fourth grader's imagination.
Absolutely. That's one of our key elements of the poem, imagination.
Yep. Good.
They
Well,
come
then-
up with some fantastic poems that we would love to put to music. We just haven't done it yet.
Well, maybe you will.
We will.
And something else that the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering does, I should say the performers, the poets and musicians and storytellers, is they do a community outreach on Friday morning of the gathering, and they go out and visit many of the local nursing homes and assisted living facilities, and also do a program at the Northern Arizona Veterans Hospital. So that's part of our community outreach and part of what we do. We all love Arizona. And I think, isn't one of your favorite songs, I Love You, Arizona?
It is. Yes, we'd love to do that.
Well, how about doing it for us?
We would love to.
I love you, Arizona. Your mountains, rivers, and streams. The rise at Dos Cabezas. The outlaws I see in my dreams. I love you, Arizona. Superstition and all. The warmth you give at sunrise. Your sunsets puts music in soul. Arizona, you're the magic Arizona, you're the lifeblood of me. I love you, Arizona. There's a dust on the wind. The sage and cactus are blooming. The snow, the rain on your skin. Arizona, you're the Arizona, you're the lifeblood of me.
One of the other things that's happening this year, which is special to us, is the Phippen Museum of Western Art is doing a art show of 37 years of Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering posters, which feature many really, really talented artists. Bill Anton, Steve Atkinson, and others do the art for our posters each year, and they're going to all be on exhibit in the Harold James section of the studio, I guess it's called. And that'll be running, actually, it's open now, and it'll run through the end of August. So you've got time to get out and visit the Phippen Museum and see that art show, and also all of the other beautiful art and statues and things that are on exhibit at the Phippen Museum. It's a great place to visit. Your admission at the front door will get you in, and if you're a member, you get in for free. So be sure and take time to visit the Phippen Museum, Western Art, and see all 37 years of the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering posters. I want to remind everyone that our Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, August 7th, 8th, and 9th this year. We have a ticketed evening show each of those evenings, and then Friday during the day from noon to 5, we have day sessions where there'll be 5 rooms with cowboy poets and musicians in them performing. So you've got a lot of options, and all of those are free to the public. And then Saturday, we start at 8 in the morning with Coffee with the Cowboys, and we serve the coffee and the donuts. And the Cowboys serve stories and poems and different things that they've experienced in their lives, either as a cowboy or rancher or whatever they've been doing in the agricultural related world. And we always have a good big turnout for that. That's at the what we call the Art Ranch Amphitheater at the Yavapai College campus here in Prescott, 1100 East Sheldon. And then that's followed by day sessions again that run till 5 o'clock in the evening. So you've got a lot of time and opportunity to come enjoy some cowboy poetry and music. And then one of the special things that happens Saturday afternoon between 1 and 3 is the ranch history. And this year it will be the K4 Ranch, the Kekeffer family will be the subject of our ranch history. Some of the family will be there to talk about what they've done, their family, their ranching, and there'll be a slideshow, and one of our members, Joe Conkle, moderates that, and it's always one of the most popular sessions of the gathering, so be sure and come out to that. The Rusty Pistols does some other songs, and Ghost Riders is one of the most popular songs that everyone knows and enjoys. And how about doing that for our audience today?
We would love to.
Super. Look out on that ride now, one dark and lonely day. Monterey he rested as he went along his way. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw, plowing through the ragged sky. Hey! And up the valley floor. The ranches were on fire, the roofs were made of steel. Corns were black and shiny, their hot breath he could feel. A bolt of fear went through him as they thundered through the sky. For he saw the riders coming hard
their faces gaunt, their eyes are red, their shirts are soaked sweat. Try hard to get that hurt, but they ain't caught them yet. Well, they're bound to ride forever on that range up in the sky. California smoke fire as they ride on in the cry. Yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yo. The sky. And the riders looked on by him, he heard them call his name, trying to save their soul from hell, they're riding on our range. That cowboy changed the ways today, with a three-wheel ride, trying to catch that devil's herd across the sky. Yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yay, yippee-yi-yo, the sky. The sky.
The gathering has an exhibit all year long at the Western Heritage Center downtown on Whiskey Row in Prescott. And if you're in town in Prescott and haven't been to the Western Heritage Center, be sure and go there and visit with the volunteers that are there and see our exhibit. There's a rodeo exhibit, there's a law enforcement sheriff's office exhibit. The cattle growers have an exhibit there. The Calvary's got an exhibit there. There's just a wide variety and a lot of things to see at the Western Heritage Center. So take advantage of that. You've been there many times. What do you find good about the Western Heritage Center?
Well, to me, it has a lot of Prescott history in it. And I think that's something that is interesting because, I'm a transplant here. I've been in Prescott 25 years, but it's interesting to go into the Western Heritage Center and see some of the history before that and how they have done a fabulous job of putting everything together in there. It's a wonderful experience.
Super.
Oh, yeah, it definitely gives you the pulse of Prescott, the way it was in the 1880s, 1890s and early 1900s, being a, gold community and how they started the building of Prescott by bringing logs out of the mountains and building homes. If you want to learn about Prescott, you need to go to the Western Heritage.
Yeah. And Suzi, you being from Wickenburg, touch on the Desert Caballeros Western Museum.
I think it's been voted one of the greatest in the country. It's just amazing. They have a lot of great exhibits up top. They do a lot of art exhibits. And then downstairs, it's like an old Western town street. And They have the market like it would have probably been years ago, the grocery store and the kitchen. And so it just really is amazing. It kind of takes you back.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bob mentioned that he's a transplant here, and I've been here 78 years, but I'm a transplant too.
Well, I was transplanted before I started school, so I've been here a long time too.
Yeah.
I'm a transplant too. I might as well make it, I've only been here 53 years, so I'm a newbie. My wife was born and raised. But.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm with them. I'm a transplant. Been in Prescott area 25 years, in Arizona since 93. But I'd like to add about the Western Heritage Center. It's called a center and not a museum. However, the way they curate their exhibits, it looks like a museum.
It does.
But what it does is promote many of the museums in the Prescott area.
Right. Like
so
Charlotte
it's a
Hall.
center point. Everybody goes to Whiskey Row. So they can branch out from there and look at the rest of the history.
Yep. Yes, it does. And Donn, you came up to Prescott from down southern Arizona, didn't you?
Yes, I was down in Sierra Vista. Actually lived in Hereford. I don't like the big city.
Me neither.
Working at Fort Huachuca, and then my employer sent me to California for 4 years. And the program is I had to have 30 years to retire. And when I got to California, I got a license plate, BAK2AZ. A month after I retired, I met my wife Kyra there too, so it was a really good deal because we've been married almost 27 years. And so we moved up here to the Prescott area, actually Paulden. I don't like the big cities, but we find ourselves in town a lot.
Yeah. Good. One of your other most popular songs that you guys do is Mariah.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do that for us?
Sure.
Absolutely.
You bet.
Mariah, Mariah, they call the name Mariah. Way out west, they have a name for rain and wind and fire. The rain is Tex, the fire is Joe.
So, how did you guys get together originally?
Well, I think Bob started that off, didn't you, with Jim?
Yeah, I used to work with Jimmy, and the day he retired, he asked me, "Hey, would you like to go to a meeting with me tonight?" And I said, "Sure." Anyway, it was an Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering meeting, and I went to the meeting with him, and you were there, and Sally Bates, and Nika, and some others, and I don't know, that's been 20 years ago or so. That's how I became part of Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering. And I started playing a little bit of music with Jimmy. And then, of course, my wedding, I had the Backcountry Horsemen do our food, and you were there, Jim, and you had brought along this character,
Yeah.
Mr. Steinbrink.
Yes.
He
Anyway,
is a character.
Yeah, and the very first song that I ever played in front of people was at my wedding. It was a Don Williams song. And after that, Duane came over and said, "Hey, I play a little bit of guitar. Can I come and pick guitar with you guys sometime?" We said, "Well, sure. We'd love it." And that's kind of where we got involved with each other and started playing music with each other.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure how long Jimmy knew Donn, but it's been quite a while. And then Jimmy brought Donn into our group. And one day we were at my wife and I's house and we were practicing. And Jimmy said, "I want to put a band together." And so I've never been part of a band, and we kind of looked at each other and said, "Sure, okay." So he said, "I've been thinking of a name for us." And he, with his sense of humor, he stood up and he said, "Do you remember that group back in the 80s called the Sex Pistols?" And we all just kind of looked at each other and said, "Yeah." We said, "We're not that. We're the Rusty Pistols Cowboy Band." And it stuck. And here we are.
Actually, our wife said we couldn't be the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, that was true.
Yeah, it was.
And you were old enough even then to be a little bit rusty.
Yeah, we understood it completely.
Rusty's the key.
After his wedding, Jim called me. Jim Dunham called me and he said, "Yeah, I hear you play a little guitar." And I said, "Yeah, I play a little guitar." He said, "How long have you been playing?" Well, I said, "I started when I was 8 years old." And he said, "You don't play that rock and roll stuff, do you?" I said, "Well, I like just music. Do you play any cowboy music?" "I love cowboy music." And so he said, "Well, we're going to have a practice at my house on Sunday." That practice lasted over 6 hours. And at the end, he said, "Yeah, I guess you'll do." And hence, I ended up joining the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering in 2010. And so I've been there 15 years. But would never trade it. Never trade the experiences.
Yeah, I have the opportunity every now and then to get to visit with you guys when you're rehearsing or practicing, whatever you want to call it. And it's just very enjoyable to sit there in a chair and just listen.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like brothers and sisters.
Yep.
And we pick on Suzi like she's our sister.
I love it. And I pick back.
She does. So.
Donn, how long have you been playing bass?
Well, recently, since Jimmy put the band together, I knew Jimmy when I first started going to gatherings in Sierra Vista. Jimmy and Suzi and Sally Bates and some other Prescott folks came down there, and I met Jimmy. I liked his singing. I would go to all his sessions, and we became good friends. And even when I moved out of state, I would go back and listen. I got turned on to the Prescott gathering. I'd also come up here. starting in '95, and I've only missed 2 of them since then as an audience member.
Mhm.
And then when Jimmy put together the band, we were already friends, and we discussed my history. I played bass in high school. Everybody in my family is a musician, but like Duane said, I was more like a violin player than a fiddle. I could read music and I played classical music, but I loved cowboy music.
You played
So
what?
I fit right in. And started out with a bass guitar, and I listened to a home concert one time, and the fabulous bass player with a stand-up bass, and I decided I could carry one of those around, and had it for 11 years.
Yeah.
Super.
I want to say that, those who didn't know Jim Dunham. It was like listening to Burl Ives. And he was one of those guys that I said our practices lasted 6 hours. Well, he's one of those guys that in those 6 hours, he'd bring out a different song every time. And we used to say, well, he's got 200 songs mentioned, locked in up there. By the time he died, we used to say he's got over 500 songs locked up there. And and Suzi's, on the other hand, is forgot most of her songs.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I know the old ones.
Suzi is a great song writer, and you've written about 20, 25 songs, and we do about 18 of her songs. So love to do them.
So you have a group of songs that you do regularly, but how many songs do you feel like you've done?
I
Played,
think
sang, in practice or in public.
I
whatever
would
the
say
case is.
350, maybe closer to 400.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Not that we remember them all, because we have gotten older.
Well, I remember there was a time when you guys had 3-ring binders,
Yes.
about an inch and a half binders, and they were thick
Yes.
with songs,
Yes.
one on each page.
Yep.
And now you've transitioned to technology and use iPads or such type
Correct.
things that basically
Yep.
have unlimited memory, and it's probably a good thing because you keep
We
adding
have-
more
yeah,
songs.
we have a limited memory.
Yeah.
Yes. The iPad does make it unlimited.
You may, but your iPad doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or at least you haven't found it yet.
Yep. But yeah, you're looking at a family here. You
Yeah.
really are. And our wives all get along, and that's important.
I know a lot of times when you practice, you'll have a barbecue or
Right.
a lunch or pizza together or whatever
Yep.
the case is. It's more than
Yep.
musicians playing together. You are a family.
Yep. And we bring Lynn Dunham in, which is Jim's,
We don't.
widow, and she's still part of our family, and she always will be.
Yep. Nice lady.
Yep.
And you all are, I guess Suzi is kind of from a distance, but Donn and Duane and Bob are members of our committee for the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering and are volunteers and do a lot during the year. I know we've talked about Donn and student poetry, and Bob and Duane are involved in selection and invitation of all of our poets and musicians every year, and help set up sound and manage sound and do other things, and all of that is appreciated immensely. We have now over 75 members of the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering Committee, and then we have a called Friends of the Gathering Facebook page, and there's hundreds that are friends of that page. And then we have a Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering page, and there's a lot of people that subscribe to that. So we're trying to get the word out.
Yes. Yep.
This year we just put it to bed. we'll have about 3,000 printed programs at the gathering for all of our patrons to pick up, and that'll help guide them through the day. There's a lot of information in our programs, bios, photos of all of the poets and musicians, night show schedules, day session schedules. The ranch history write-up will be there, and some other really good information. So there's a lot that goes into the gathering. We work on it 12 months of the year. Actually, we're working on some elements of the gathering on 2027.
Correct.
And we've already done a lot of work on 2026. So
Right.
it's a big process to put together the gathering and do it the way we can be proud of what we're doing, and we feel like we're doing a good job, and we sure hope the audience shares that feeling with us. And we know a lot of them do, because they make comments at the gathering that they never thought they would enjoy cowboy poetry, but they've come to the gathering and heard it, and they'll be back.
Yep. Cowboy poetry and music.
And music and stories.
And stories. That's correct.
Yep. So some of those poems and music are what's the word? Embellished.
No, they're absolutely true.
Maybe with Chris Isaac, but we have some fantastic poets and singers, and even groups that are coming through the Poets Gathering.
You mentioned Chris Isaacs, and as a matter of fact, this year we're going to honor Chris Isaacs with an award, what we call our Legacy Award.
Right.
And that's because he's established a legacy of cowboy poetry and performing. He's been all over the United States, even out of the United States, and has an interesting story. He was basically cowboying and packing and doing those things as a young man, and put together some poetry, and never thought it was good enough to present to an audience, and he got invited to Elko, to the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering, a couple of times before a friend of his finally said, "Chris, you're good enough. Please come." I think we may be close to out of time today, so I'm going to close this by asking you all to look at azcowboypoets.org. That's our website. You'll find a lot of information about the gathering. You'll find schedules, night shows, day sessions. You'll find information about our performers. And please come to the gathering in August 7th, 8th, and 9th. At Yavapai College here in Prescott, Arizona. Thank you, and we'll see you again. Adios.